Oh, it's the best ever. How's everybody doing today? My name is Rudy. You were watching a show called Alpha Investments where we report the news, the things that go up, the things that go to zero, and the things that bamboozle you. Today's conversation is regarding to Hasbro's quarterly earnings report. And well, I'm kind of disappointed the stock didn't tank because I had some good limit orders in and I did not get executed on the way down. So, long story short, on the surface, most people are going to think they reported some awful earnings and everything's terrible, and Magic and Wizards of the Coast is holding up Hasbro. Everything's terrible. Anyway, I was really happy to hear these earnings. To me, this was the best report I've heard probably in a year or two since before Magic 30. This was by far the report that I was looking for. I was really happy with this earnings report. I was kind of hoping the stock would tank on the surface and a lot of Timmies would be like, oh, it's going to go to zero. I was kind of hoping for that, but we didn't get that at all. By the time you watch this video, it'll be the next day or something, so maybe the stock tanks then, or maybe I'm wrong and I'm full of crap. But there's a couple key takeaways. Yes, essentially the money in Hasbro, the money that Wizards of the Coast is bringing into Hasbro is essentially almost, I think 25% of all the money and margins are coming just from Wizards now. It's massive. It's some outrageous amount. It is the most profitable division. Essentially, Hasbro is essentially becoming Magic. I mean, that's, Wizards of the Coast is literally, might as well just rename Hasbro to WotC at this point. The things that really excited me was a couple key components. When I heard Dr. Cox made a comment about inventories being reduced by over 50% of all their inventory in their warehouses and inventory on hand, I literally sat up and I started the slow clap. I was so happy to hear that. The huge reduction of board games, toys, Magic, pallets, trading cards, D&D, to hear they are flushing down inventory, over a 50% decline in inventory on hand is the biggest decline I think I've ever heard from a retail toy manufacturer, I mean, that is massive. And that, ladies and gentlemen, alone, if they have that level of inventory decline, that's positive for board games, tabletop, obviously WotC, D&D, all categories. That's a huge win. That means they're not overproducing. They've made adjustments on how much they manufacture. They've made adjustments on print runs and how much doesn't sell. They're better forecasting on what their demand is. They're not printing 1 million boxes when they're only selling 250,000 boxes. And now they're stuck with massive inventory. The fact that those numbers are declining that quickly tells me that, well, Dr. Cox and Cynthia want to keep their jobs. Anybody heard about Fallout collector boxes? Anybody? Seriously, Cynthia, look, I know I give you guys a hard time and I bust you guys' balls, but I know we're trying to do the game piece thing, and I know you guys are trying to make Magic collectible again, but you didn't have to make Fallout collector boxes. You didn't have to fucking cut the print run by fucking everything. I mean, you could still, bro, dude darts, dude, seriously, dude. Little extreme on the reduction of supply. Little extreme on the whole Fallout collector thing. Not quite what we were all asking for, but I respect the attempt. Yikes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll know in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be front page of everything of one of the most expensive Magic collector boxes in modern history. You thought Lord of the Rings collector boxes at $300 a box at release and $400 a box at release was high? Fallout would like to have a word with you in the back room next to the drive-thru of Chick-fil-A. And Fallout's going to say, you need to hold my party pack, Rudy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to know. Everybody's going to know. Back to the video. So to hear, I don't care about, their $1 billion loss and everything because they wrote off that stupid E1 entertainment movie division. That's all over with. They wrote it off on the books. Goodwill, intangible crap. That's not cash flow related. Writing off, some hundreds of millions of dollars or $50 million or 150, writing off losses of intangibles and goodwills, that doesn't change the bank account. That doesn't change the cash flow. Intangibles and these are non-cash flow line items, usually. Not always, sometimes they are. But usually they don't matter. I don't care about any of that. That's all over with, that's in the past. All Wall Street cares about, and all goofball, scumbag, goofball, scumbag, manipulators, what's the other one? Shills, simps. And all these people care about is the future. And all I hear is major inventory holdings dropping. Then I heard incredible strength from Magic the Gathering, and I believe a slight a negative year over year for paper Magic, a decline in the sales of that revenue, but an increase in digital, which is an overall net increase. But that is music to my ears. And the fact now they're saying no major double-digit growth. Chris Cox isn't saying, Magic's going to grow by 20%. We're going to have 69%. The fact that that's all gone now, and it's about just year over year, maybe slight negative or slighting, that's what we want to hear for revenue. And hearing negative revenue for like paper Magic and stuff, but like positive revenue for things like digital Magic and digital aspects and entertainment, that's what we want to hear. That means, again, people are buying less paper Magic. Wizards has reduced how much they're making. They know they can't go from $1 billion in revenue to $2 billion in revenue from WotC. It's just not there. You cannot, there's only so much you can nuke from the secondary market in running with your game piece to the people who want to be loud and screechy online but don't actually fucking buy anything. They want to have the loud look at me voice, but they don't spend any money. They don't account for any major component of revenue, but these idiots like to listen to the people who don't spend the money at the company. So now that we're seeing this, we're still here with you guys. We're here for the game pieces in the community. We're going to make sure Magic's cheap. Are the cameras off? Are we going to fucking rail it now? Or are we going to, all right, cut all the print runs, make Fallout collectors impossible to get. Let's push that bitch to $500 a box. What are we doing next? Okay, reduce print run. Okay, Ravnica Remastered. Don't give them any restock. Collector boxes and that's it. Extra serialized cards, just shove them in there. Whatever. You're seeing all these things come together. What happened to Secret Lair? Oh, there's limited amounts. People got mad at cats and dogs, but then nobody bought the next one because they were pissed. That happens. I'm so happy to see what happened. This is such a big moment. This is such a positive, exciting thing. We have actual physical acknowledgement of major inventory and holding of pallets, of toys, cards, tabletop, all of this stuff being reduced and flushed from their warehouse. It's done. This was the end of the last quarter. This was Q4. This was months ago. I've never heard, I don't think I've ever heard a company, I remember Target and Walmart had inventory issues during the downward part of the roller coaster of COVID when they were trying to readjust. But I never in my life, as a human being, meat popsicle with 2 tether balls, I've never heard a company reduce inventory by over 50% in a single quarter. I mean, I got to give credit where credit's due. That's fucking impressive. What happened to that inventory? Because we didn't see the big Amazon dumps? We're just going to let that one sit in the back corner. But the inventory is, it's an incredible thing to see some big people and some distributors and some big accounts kind of help step in and help things go. And I'm not going to call it a bailout or anything, but it's a nice thing to talk about with you all, that similar to other industries and Wall Street and stuff, everybody wants the same thing. We all want Magic to be healthy. We want the market to be stable. We want things to move forward. We want there to be slow, stable growth and a healthy secondary market and a healthy player base. And that's pretty much what everybody wants. So this is a really, I'm gonna say it. I think it's probably one of the most important quarterly reports we've ever had in the last 5 years of Wizards and Hasbro. Because again, pandemic, country shut down, everybody stay in your basements, the evil stuff's gonna come after your family. Yeah, that's gone. Everybody went crazy. everybody, I don't know, did crazy stuff and just got stupid, and it's done. We're back to a normal world, okay? And this is it's such a good sign, and I don't think most people, like I would expect, by the time this video goes live, I would assume all the other content creators, articles, or people in the last 24 hours are going up as I'm probably filming this or already been up. I would assume most people who are just uneducated and they're Timmies and they need that drama headline. Okay, folks, I promise you all, I'll still put a bad headline. I can't really talk about how I feel in the headline of this video. I'll have to put something like worst Hasbro report, Wizards of the Coast bankruptcy or something. I'll put some dramatic headline to get everybody, feeling pumped and everything that their, boycott is working. I don't know. What was their revenue? What did Wizards do? Oh, $1 billion? Yeah, they're on their way to the bankruptcy. But I'll put a bad title up for you guys just to kind of make everybody happy. But this is one of the best signs we could ask for. This is probably one of the most positive moments we can ask for going into 2024. I mean, on the backs of a stable market, you have the company with all their changes in place, and they acknowledge a decline in revenue for paper magic, increase in digital, in the largest drop of excess inventory and overproduction is over with. I mean, I don't know what more magic collectors, evil investors, and the beautiful 3% ladies could ask for. I mean, these are the exact things that we all want to see for long-term health and stability of the game. You have a CEO that didn't say we're going to target double-digit growth in magic. We're going to make paper magic double. There was none of that. The other things they talked about, which we'll get to in a minute, but this is so important to see that they're expecting flat to negative like paper magic and tabletop revenue, and they're still compensating with digital and other things. That's great, but just to see that, and it's interesting how like the smart money on Wall Street, on the news headline, you saw the knee-jerk algorithm reaction where like pre-market Hasbro tanked like 15%. Like pre-market Hasbro was down like $7 a share. It was massive. That's a big drop instant. And then like by the time the market opened yesterday and the day unfolded, like you saw the smart money in people who really looked into this data and all the problems with WotC and printing and overdoing and killing the golden goose, as B of A would say, high five. And it's to see the smart money literally buying the stock like crazy and didn't allow it to drop after earnings was a really fascinating thing to watch, because on the surface you're going to see articles and most people who don't really look at it with the perspective that maybe an evil person like me sees, but it was a really important moment. And to see that Wall Street and the market agreed with and they saw what I saw. And I mean, yesterday I think the stock market was down like 500, 600, 700 points. And Hasbro stock was down I think it closed down 6. Actually, was it down really? I think it was down 69 cents for the day. Is it really 69 cents? No way. That's funny. Okay, you got me. But that's nothing. That's nothing. Hasbro stock, everybody thought it was the worst thing ever. The company's in trouble. It was supposed to collapse $7 a share. Holy smokes. In a single knee-jerk reaction. Then the market tanks 500, 600, 700 points. And Hasbro stock just says, fuck you all. Watch this. And it just went straight back up and closed the day almost completely flat, unchanged. It was wild. Absolutely wild. And let's move on from that. So other news, I did think it was interesting. The success of these universes beyond is really becoming fascinating. I'm still not a huge fan of it. I didn't think it was a good direction for Magic. But seeing the success of Lord of the Rings and opening Lord of the Rings holiday special boxes and doing that with you all was a really eye-opening experience. And I was really surprised how much I enjoyed it. It was really, really surprising. Same thing with Doctor Who, with the serialized doctors and the surge foils and everything, and all the lands and everything. It was really surprising. And then the success of the Warhammer 40K, the commander decks and everything, it was just a really surprising success thing. And to see them polish up the showcase special guest slots and do Jurassic Park and a dinosaur slot for Ixalan being a standard release, it felt good. There was synergy. They're doing good. And I know that makes me an evil shill and all that, but fuck it, who cares? But it's one of those things where it's like, man, and now with the Fallout, I don't want to talk about Fallout much. I want you all to just kind of, I want everybody to just run around going, what's going on with Fallout? Why are there no collector boxes? Because that shit's fucking hilarious. There ain't no collector boxes. Yeah. Price is going to skyrocket on that. We'll figure it out when it comes up. But anyways, I expect the Fallout Commander decks to be one of the best selling Commander deck sets, probably, or in the top, maybe next to Lord of the Rings or Warhammer 40K. Dude, these Fallout Commander decks could be one of the best selling Commander decks in Magic's history. I mean, I know the 40K decks were phenomenal. I understand the Lord of the Rings, all these different things, the set, the Commander decks from even, AFR and Strixhaven and all the Zendikar, Call Time, they were great, but these things are just, I expect them to do really well. And those should be available enough where we can actually, every store can sell them. I can sell some and offer to you guys. I should be able to get a lot of Commander decks so that, when I run that sale in a few weeks, if you want one complete deck set, if you want 2, 3, 4, I should be able to offer quantity on that. Should be able to get some really good pricing. It should be a lot of fun, everybody. But I did find it interesting that Dr. Cox kept emphasizing his concerns on the cost of getting these licenses and IPs for Universes Beyond, especially with, he mentioned, specifically Marvel and Final Fantasy coming up. Next year, or later this year, in the next 24 months, with Marvel and Final Fantasy, you could have some really insane stuff. Certain main characters from a Final Fantasy VII, or a certain, a Cloud, or Eris, or some sort of, Tifa or Chocobo, or you can have certain, the main characters as a serialized 1 of 1, 1 of 5, 1 of 10, 1 of 50. The opportunity for them to do some really insane stuff for special versions and variants are coming. And I also heard additional rumors, which I emailed to myself all the time. Rumors that I told myself while I was in the bathroom was there's also going to be serialized cards with this time special artwork, because a lot of people's feedback on serialized cards to WotC and the LGS has been, why are they just putting a number on the serialized card? Why can't it have a special artwork, something unique? And well, careful what you wish for, Timmy's, because you're probably going to get your wish, according to the email I sent myself. And the cost of getting these brand deals is definitely going to be a big dent in Wizards of the Coast. But, Lord of the Rings, he said, made them $200 million in gross sales. That is incredible, folks. $200 million in Universes Beyond gross sales revenue. So even if they pay insane, costs to license these brands, millions and millions of dollars to use them, it's still worth it. It's still worth it for them. And I can't imagine the impact Final Fantasy, this Fallout, and of course Marvel is going to have over the next 2 years. It is going to put more eyes, more mainstream, and more people are going to be introduced to Magic cards. Now, how many of those stick with the brand after that release goes back to normal? We have a standard set. There's no more Final Fantasy or no more Marvel. How much staying power introducing some of these new players to the game? Do they stay with it, or do they just kind of leave and not buy the next set? Those are all very complex things that we don't know yet. But I thought that was really an interesting category about the expenses of that. I hate to say it, but it does seem like this Universes Beyond is a really good direction for Magic the Gathering. I never thought I'd say that. I was not a fan of it. I'm still not a huge fan as an old fart of Magic and old school. Give me I want my 3 Magic sets. Give me a big set, a small set, and a big set of Magic as a standard block. Rudy, we're going to play Type 1 or Type 1.5. Let's play some Legacy, or let's play Extended, man. I'm an old fart. The Marvels Beyond, might as well be that. The Universes Beyond with these Marvels and other variants are kind of, it still doesn't feel like authentic Magic to me. It feels like, at times it does feel like the money grab and awkwardness, but the feedback from customers, you all, my own patrons, everybody, it's just so, right now, I'm getting hundreds of messages about Fallout. Of course, most of them are, where the fuck are the collector boxes? But the rest of the patrons are always saying, Rudy, you are carrying Fallout Commanders. And of course, I'm going to allow people to get a bunch of them if you want a stupid price, or if you just want one at a rip-off price, that's 2 times TCG player, I'll do that for you too. And I'll even give you a free pack of Taco Bell sauce. And it's one of those things where I think, I can tell, I don't have to think about it, I can tell that you all are really excited. I know when it's going to be successful and the patrons are excited, because I get messages weeks in advance about, Rudy, you're going to carry the Fallout Commander, right? And what if I want multiple? You're going to let that. So I can already tell, I can get a vibe for the market on there, okay? And I think any expense that Universes Beyond and IP costs, no matter what the hit is, I just think it's going to be worth it. Because what I'm seeing if this Fallout launch goes the way I think it's going to go, okay, after the Lord of the Rings and all that, the variant, everything that happened, and I think it's going to work. I mean, the last Universes Beyond Commander deck, besides Lord of the Rings and I guess Doctor Who, was what? I guess the Warhammer 40K, and that was incredibly successful. And I don't see that changing. I don't see why that wouldn't change, folks. So that's my speech. Conclusion to you all. It was one of the best Hasbro earnings reports I've heard in a really long time. It was a really nice thing to hear a lot of major inventory reductions, because not only does that tell me they flushed out baggage of inventory, but they're also manufacturing toys and cards more in line with today's market standards, which means lower print runs, lower supplies, lower build levels of Monopoly board games and toys and action figures. They have adjusted finally. It took them too long, as with most companies, it takes them too long to pivot, but they did. And now that we're seeing the results of that, I think that we're in a good place. I think Magic's going to be able to move forward. I think Hasbro is going to be probably pretty stable moving forward with the E1 and the entertainment and the write-offs over with. It looks really good moving forward. I really like the direction. Now, maybe we can get lucky and the stock can drop a lot, go to 40s or 30s, and Rudy can move in some more. But I don't think it's going to happen. I would like to see maybe we get some Hasbro stock tanking, maybe breaking below the 40s and new lows, but that thing, it doesn't feel like it's going to happen. I would like it to, but right now, at least unless we get some other crazy news, it doesn't look like it's going to be able to happen. Things are looking pretty stable where it's at. Obviously, there was some other people looking for Hasbro talk about cutting the dividend on the stock, because right now Hasbro pays, was it still like 5.5% interest just for holding it? That's a lot, man. And a lot of people were looking for talks on Dr. Cox removing the dividend and trying to raise cash flow, and it didn't seem to happen. And a lot of people were like, whoa, okay. That's it, folks. That's kind of today's video. I just want to let you all know my opinion on the Hasbro news. And I'm sure this is maybe not what everybody was expecting, but it was really good. It was really good news. It's a good quarterly report, and we got a good foundation moving forward. We got proper expectations set for the next 12 to 24 months. There's no improper overshooting. We're going to make billions in the earnings profit. We're going to do this. There's none of that. That's going to have to be, downgraded on the earnings forecast. Everything's conservative. We got the write-offs. They didn't discuss cash flow problems and cutting dividends. The biggest concern is getting licensing and IPs for crossovers to use the rights on cards and board games. But it looks good, man. It looks good. I can't believe I'm saying this, but good job, Chris Cox. Cynthia, as much as I bust your chalupa with the Philip Morris stuff, I bust your tacos, I bust your balls. Wait, I busted something. I know I give you guys a hard time out there. I know Hasbro does watch this channel. I have to admit, good job. Have a great day, everybody.